Hi everyone, it's Debbie here at Ephemera's Vintage Garden. It feels like forever since I've done a video, so it's good to be back. Today I want to show you how to make an altered book. A couple of months ago I acquired a good collection of books that were going to be discarded, so I brought them home and I've been having some fun with them. Some of the books that I've created look like this, where I just used the cover and altered the spine and added binder rings. Another one that I made also used the covers, and I created my own spine and did some stitch binding. The inside is sort of a junky with some tea-dyed papers, some scrapbook paper, and some of the original pages from the book. Okay, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make one like this one here, where the book itself is still intact, and I've just embellished it with some of my printables and some scrapbook paper. So let's get started. What you're going to need is an old book that you want to alter. You're going to need some printables that you've print and cut out. And then if you want to add some extra papers in there, you can just go through your stacks and pick out stuff that coordinates. So in this case, I've picked out this yellow book, and I'm using the Steamtown Spring. Now what I've done with these is this printable kit is a 4x6, but I increased the printout size by 10% so that when it came out it's roughly 5x7, which will fit really nicely in the size of this book. So to get started, that's basically what you want to do, is to pick out the size of the book that you're going to work with and see how well your printables would work. So in this one here, they ended up being 4x6 and they covered the text nicely. Okay. Now for this particular project, what you might want to keep in mind when choosing the book that you're going to alter is that you find a book where the binding is tightly glued. Okay? So what I mean by that is that when you open the book, that you can see that the binding here is really glued tightly. Okay, because what we're doing in this one is we're actually tearing out some pages. So if you were to use an older vintage book, a lot of those don't use a lot of glue and they're just stitched. And if you were to tear out pages, then your pages would start falling out after a while. So here's an example of a book that has more of a loose stitch binding to it. So you can tell usually just when you open the book how loose your signatures are, because you can tell where they start and stop. So this would be a good book to use in a different project that I'll probably show you in a separate video. So for this project, we'll stick with something that has a lot of glue on the backing here, on the spine. Okay? So, here's what we're going to do. What I started with was I left 6 pages at the front of the book, and I'll explain that in a second. Okay? So after the first 6 pages, I went in and I tore out 2 pages at a time. And then I would skip 2 pages and tear out 2 more. And then skip 2 and then tear out 2 more. And I did that all the way to the back until I got to 1, 2, 3, 4 pages at the back. Now the back isn't as crucial as the front, but you will notice in these books where there's a lot of glue, as you get closer to the back or the front, it gets harder to tear out the pages neatly. The pages kind of want to pull out together, and it can, you know, get a little messy. So I don't mind leaving a few of the back pages because a lot of them end up being blank anyways. And you can work with this in a journal anyway. So these two will be fine. This third one is fine. And then this fourth. So when I got to here, I stopped there. Okay? So I ended up with a book about half the thickness that it was originally. And I ended up with this nice little pile of pages. So this is why I end up calling this my altered book journal, where I can create two, because I'll have the book journal and a second journal that I can create using binder rings or a bind it all or a cinch binder or whatever other method. Okay, so these pages will be useful for that. You could also, you know, use these as just extra ephemera in other projects if you wanted. But the reason I wanted to make this video was just to show you how one book can create two journals. Okay? So once your pages are all torn out, then we're going to go back in and we're going to glue them together. So where you have your torn pages out, what I like to do is I like to glue these two pages together. So then the torn bits are hidden, and it also is going to reinforce the book. So in this sewing one that I did, I glued my pages together, but I left an opening here. So this will be nice to add extra ephemera or journaling cards inside. So that part is up to you if you want to glue them completely together or if you want to create pockets with them. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm using the Zig two-way glue, but you can use a glue stick or whatever craft glue that you prefer using. You could also use score tape along the top and bottom. Okay? And when I'm gluing these pages, I like to insert a plastic divider or a craft sheet of some kind, just to prevent the glue from going further into the book. So here we go. Just going to glue the top and the bottom here. Okay, so my pages are all glued and they form 28 pocket pages. And then I have a front single page and I have 3 back single pages. And these are all just blank, so I didn't glue them together. Okay? I have 12 printable images that I'm going to use probably at every other page. And I've got a couple of these front pages that only have like the title of the book and a dedication. So I'm not going to cover the entire pages here. I'm just going to save these for, you know, maybe something smaller like a tag or a die cut or something. So this is where your creativity is going to come in. So whether you have a book that is the same size as mine, which is about 5.5 or 5.5 by 8.5, or whatever size of book you have, and whatever size of journal kit that you're using, your altered pages will look different. But I'm just giving you the basics here so that you can have an idea of altering your entire book. So let's say, for example, you have 5x7 images. They may or may not cover all your text, and that's no problem. That's for your own creativity. Now, if you have 4x6 printables, you could sort of offset it this way and then add a tag like that on the bottom, or, you know, something like this, where you would put a tag and an image, you know. So that's where it's gonna start getting fun. Okay, so I'm gonna be starting at this page here, and I've already chosen my first image, and I am going to be having it just a little bit closer to the top than the bottom. So I've glued my images, and I've skipped a page in between them. And on those pages I'm going to be adding blank paper for journaling. And then on these, on the back side of them, I have scraps here of scrapbook paper, and I'll be using some of that. I've also got lots of printed tags and cards from the same Steamtown Spring kit. Those will also be added in there. Okay, now I'm going to skip over that part for the video because that's where your creativity is going to come in, and you can just alter your pages however you like. I just wanted to give you a general idea of how to take out your pages and how to alter it. So for the spine, I like just sanding down the title here so that you don't see it as well. I also have remnants of book cloth that I could use to cover it up here, but I like this look. You'll see I did the same thing on this one here. I just sanded it down a bit so it's taken some of the shiny lettering away. Now, as far as these chunky charms that I like to add, I'll show you how this one was added. There are several ways. You could add an eyelet there, or something to attach it to. I like to use seam binding, so I just put it inside the book cover like that, and then pull it so that I have two equal pieces up here. And then I just loop the jump ring onto this piece here. And then I tie my bow. Just like that. Another thing I like to do with these covers is sand them down to make them look worn out and distressed, like that. Whatever grit sandpaper you have is fine. Just makes it look aged. So I think that about covers it for this one. And in the near future I will show you what I ended up doing with the rest of the pages that I took out of here. This little stack here. It's probably going to end up looking very similar with pockets like this one, and scrap papers added to the pages. Okay? So if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear from you. I hope you found this helpful. And I will see you guys back here soon, I hope. Thanks a lot for watching.